I had to make it harder for myself. I mean, it wouldn't be a me project if I didn't. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Artsume Shae, if you didn't know already, and there's some of you who might not know because there are maybe quite a few of you who are new. So if you don't know me already, I am Artsume Shae. I am an artist, illustrator, and also a webtoon creator of the comic Space Ultima. And of course, that's no news because you clicked on this video. But I will go ahead and let you all know that this video, it's a long time coming. I've been absent from videos, but I don't think that is a surprise because if you guys are used to my channel, you know that I have entered my comic into the WEBTOON Legends 2025 contest. And that's a lot of what this video is about today. So sit back, relax. I'm going to be talking about what my experience was like and also experience of some other people as well, because I asked for some of you guys' thoughts and I will kind of like elaborate and give my take on some of those thoughts as well. It has been a very interesting few months and I'm sure many of you can agree, especially if you have entered the contest as well. But all that being said, I would love for you guys to be here and stick around. So if you are interested in some of my many adventures and also seeing a little about my process and things when it comes to my art, then definitely give this video a like. And then later on, if you're so persuaded, then definitely consider subscribing for all the updates. Okay, so first I'm just going to say there is a little asterisk, a little caveat considering maybe why this has been so challenging for me. And that has a lot to do with the fact that between the time that the contest started and the time that it is finishing, practically within a week of each other, is me preparing for my wedding. That tells you everything. Heck, at that point, the video is already over. I was preparing for my wedding that will be happening at this moment of the video being recorded this week. So of course I'm going to have a lot of craziness, a lot of like, you know, all this other stuff. And funny enough, a lot of the stresses, I wouldn't even say have been completely like things that I physically need to do. Like, yes, I needed to like go to a venue. Yes, I needed to run errands, things like that. But I also feel like it just was a lot of like mental things, mental stress, because, you know, in your head, you're brainstorming your whole game plan with the comic, but then also you're brainstorming the game plan with a pretty big life event. So that's kind of where I'm coming from as far as why there were so many stacked things happening at once. Obviously, both things are extremely rewarding, and I don't think I would really change that. I do think that maybe if I had have gotten a lot of the really big planning out of the way as early as I could for the wedding, then I would have a lot more period of time to do this. But honestly, with the way the comic came out, I think it is very well done for considering I had a lot of other things going on in life. So that's my biggest key takeaway. Try to do these contests when you don't have a lot of life things going on. Speaking of, like, my background here is completely taken down, especially because I'll be moving in the near future as well. So anyway, the contest. So let's talk about Space Ultima. For those of you who don't know, Space Ultima is my webtoon, my webcomic that I've started a little over a year now. It is about a girl who is a convenience store worker who really feels like her life is lackluster, but she puts away all of her wants and needs to help her and her family survive, really. And in essence, life kind of changes when she interacts with a very mysterious space gem, and now her life is never going to be the same, and some very interesting intergalactic things happen, and essentially she is really setting the course to hopefully save the galaxy. So my webtoon, I entered into the most epic category. So they have them broken up into 4 categories. You have most epic, most feels, most gripping, and then most... I know that the last one is the, what's it called? It's the comedy or slice of life category. So I entered mine into that. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know which one to add it into. I was very... because I knew that, like, I set it as sci-fi. It's definitely an adventurous story. There are a lot of, like, kind of action-y things, but then also you have, you know, the potential blooming romance between my protagonist and another character. So I wasn't quite sure at first where to enter it into, but I think because of how I rearranged my story, then I was really able to set it in the most epic category because it starts out in a very grabby way with the action. So yeah, early on, I knew that I really wanted to rewrite and kind of rearrange how I told the story to begin with. When I first started Space Ultima, my main skill set was more in the area of graphic novel or comic telling rather than short form scrolling media. So when I wrote that story, I was considering longer story beats, longer payoff, no real like hook. And I knew that with the contest and how they were talking about, you know, what they're looking for in a story, they were definitely emphasizing adding a hook and really getting the attention of somebody within 3 episodes. So I took this as my opportunity to rearrange the story in a way that every single episode you are like, oh my god, what is next? I think I was able to accomplish that. So that's why a lot of people, when they were reading the story, they were like, oh, I thought you were just gonna take your old panels and like rearrange them or, you know, touch them up and then put them in the story. I was like, I had to make it harder for myself. I mean, it wouldn't be a me project if I didn't. So I feel like if I were to do something differently, it would have definitely been to get the story and start my progress way earlier. By the way, put in the comments how early you started your contest entry, because I think it was announced about December, January timeframe. And of course, you've got the holidays, you've got, you know, everything going on in life. So maybe you did or maybe you didn't feel like you had the time to get started. Me, on the other hand, I feel like if I were to change anything or do something differently, I would have started working on my entry the moment they announced it. So that's my tip for any future contests. And I say that because, you know, I feel like I knew I was going to enter Space Ultima into the contest. Like, a lot of people have completely, like, made completely new stories for the contest that's separate from the one that they're currently doing, which they encourage for the contest. But I was thinking to myself, I really want to kind of put my current comic on the main stage, make that be what I really want to shine. So I feel like because I was entering Space Ultima, I should have worked on it a lot sooner. So I worked with some people, got some help, some feedback on my story and like how I rewrote it to pretty much include all of the main story beats, really cut some of the fat, trim some of the fat that didn't need to be in there, and then got to work. I knew that I wanted to really expedite my experience. So one of the things that I mainly did differently from last time was hire a colorist. So I went on Fiverr. It was a recommendation from a fellow creator. I went on Fiverr and I looked up some colorists. Really all I needed was the flat color. So every chapter I hired somebody, the same person, to do the flat color in order to get that process done to allow me to work on other things at the same time. That's a big thing I heard from a lot of other creators. A lot of them invested money into getting this project completed. So I definitely did that because coloring for me is notoriously the process I feel drags on the most. So I utilized that. And I honestly think that if I didn't hire colors, I would have not gotten done in time, or I would have really ran myself into the ground trying to complete that with doing the color also. So it was very helpful for me to get that part done. I kind of worked overlapping. So my process, as you know, a lot of you may know, my process is, you know, getting my 3D models in place and my background. So that's kind of like my storyboarding process. And then after I get the storyboarding process, I actually skip the sketching. And I don't usually like to do that. But when it comes down to time, I kind of needed to get it done sooner. So I skipped straight to line art while using my vector pen and vector eraser. That way I could really just do kind of like a sketch and then erase all of the stray lines to clean it up. So anyway, after I did that, that's when I sent it to the person to color, and while it's in their hands, they had like about a week turnaround time. I just get started on doing the next thing. So it was pretty much a straightforward assembly line where I was actually able to overlap working on episodes. Now there were some times where, you know, life was lifing and I wasn't really able to work on it as quickly as I wanted to, but overall, it was like, yeah, that's fine. So once the stuff came back from the colorist, then I could start rendering, adding in lighting effects, adding in extra backgrounds, just to like really punch it up. So yeah, that was kind of like what my pipeline was. I do think that it was a big learning to understand how it is to work with other people, and then just to see how you can really expedite that pipeline. So I was really happy about that. Once I started getting closer to completing it, I want to say actually I was done a whole entire week before my contest entries were going live. One thing I really wanted to do differently that I didn't do the first time around with the release of Space Ultima is marketing. So marketing is something that I was like, I can't just publish this contest entry and just let it exist. I really need to like invest some time and energy into doing some proper marketing, utilizing TikTok and Reels, utilizing all this stuff. And I thought to myself, well, when people like see Space Ultima, they want to know what it's even about. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do some Reels, one talking about the story and then talking about the 3 main characters who you bump into in the very first time. So I kind of did a daily rollout where a short blurb about Scorpio, Zan, and then Sophie as something to kind of like prime people for, you know, here are these, do you like how they sound? Then if you like it, then check out Space Ultima to get a further glimpse of them. So that is something that I really was happy and pleased with, and I'm still utilizing the TikTok and Reels and leveraging that. Honestly, most of these Reels have just been screen grabs from the story. I did a new cover. I'll put it right here so you can see it. But yeah, I did utilize that more than maybe last time, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. Right now, I'm kind of reusing a lot of content, so once it gets to a little bit further in, of course, I'm gonna be going on a break and all that good stuff. So once I get a little bit new content, then I'll be able to create some new Reels for you all to see. I think what I'm just trying to do is really put these characters in people's faces a lot, and by putting them in people's faces, they'll start to recognize them more, and what you kind of have to do is you kind of have to flood the feed, for lack of a better word. And by flooding the feed, I was really able to just put it front and center. So that way, you know, the more people see it, even if they don't check it out the first time, then they'll get more and more acquainted with it. And eventually they'll be like, all right, you're pulling my arm, I'll go ahead and take a look at it. Overall, I really feel like the whole process was not perfect, and I'm going to use this part to kind of go over, I don't want to call them the cons necessarily, but opportunities that maybe WEBTOON has to really do a different job going into the next contest. From what I've seen, a lot of the kind of confusion had most to do with the contest rules. Now, this is my first contest that I've participated in, so maybe if you've participated in contests in the past and you're thinking, well, it's always been kind of clumsy, then totally fine. I feel like sometimes having somebody explain something out loud can really benefit and help the things that you read solidify in your brain more. Does that make sense? So basically I'm saying I think that WEBTOON should really start investing in like some, you know, kind of like influencer or content creator, like even if it's their very own person, being kind of like the face of WEBTOON. That way, when contests come out, you have the ability to make videos that give the kind of like plain English explanation for some of these things. I don't know, that's just me. I really felt like some of the kind of ambiguity about some of the contest rules were kind of confusing, which, you know, that could disqualify a lot of people depending on what rule is being broken. I don't know. But I feel like that was the scariest thing. Honestly, even the judging criteria, I wasn't even stressed that much about, because, like, for example, the 40% audience engagement. Based on the description, that could be anything. It could be metrics that we don't even see. It could be click-through rates, things that are so behind the scenes that we could think, oh, this WEBTOON got like 10,000 likes, but maybe there's something that is more behind the scenes that we don't as viewers see that they're judging based off of. I don't know. Regardless, I did feel like some of the rules were at times a little confusing, so all I did was put my best foot forward to try and make the best entry that I could. Alright, so this person says, "This was difficult but an exciting experience. I'm glad to have taken part and get my series out there." Absolutely, I totally agree. It was not easy, and there are a lot of people, and I'll get to these comments in the past, who they were like, oh my god, this kicked my butt. And it's so interesting. Another comment that I saw, somebody was saying, this contest, like, you are a one-person publishing house, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You are the marketer, you are the line art, you are the script writer and story concept person, and in some cases you are also the colorist. So it is not easy, and I do think that there should be more opportunities for WEBTOON and web creators, webcomic creators, to be compensated in a way for how much work they do. And who knows, that can come in the form of grants, contests like this one. Also too, just to note, there are other contests that go on that are webcomic related, not just the one there was one that was circulating around. I know Clip Studio Paint has a lot of contests, so do consider that. This contest, even though this one's over, you have a lot of other opportunities, so definitely consider that, because it's worth your time, and you know, you are worth your artwork and story getting seen. So part one, I enjoy the contest a lot, even though my main goal is to get my work exposed to more people. Part two, I learned how to assess and refine my old panels without having to redo them all, a new skill. That is a really important skill, and it is a skill that I am heavily considering, even though I keep thinking about how certain parts of my story can get rewritten, that I'll save for later on. But yes, absolutely, thinking about how you can kind of clean up and tighten up and add more clarity to your stories and to your visuals is really important. And I also agree that exposing your story to more people, there are a ton of people who are not Webtoon creators who are using this contest as a way to find more stories that they can fall in love with. And I think that is amazing, because at times it feels like the only people who engage with my webtoon are other webtoon creators. But no, there are a lot of people who they don't draw, they don't write stories, they are just a consumer of content. And that's really cool too, because now they have a whole library of stuff that they can find in a way that is also easier than discovering it through the app in general. Because let's just be honest, in my opinion, finding new Canvas stories is slightly difficult, and I'm not a huge fan of every Webtoon original that's out there. So I think this has exposed me to more stories, and I have, through the contest, discovered new comics to read, and I'm super happy about that, and I'll definitely be talking about some of those in the future. It was really challenging but super rewarding. I think we all learned and improved. I definitely think so, because I know I've learned a lot of things, especially about Clip Studio Paint, that I didn't know before, and using them this time helped out a lot. Feeling grateful to have even attempted it, learned so much, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, my expectations on winning are very leveled out. Honestly, as soon as I finished the contest and, hit submit, it was out of sight, out of mind. Like, my focus then was just promoting it, because I wanted to use this opportunity to get more eyes on Space Ultima. And I'm like already done with an entire season of my story, so I think that also helps too, because now people don't just have to read the first 3 episodes, they have much more story available to them. I learned so much. Honestly, it's truly opened my eyes to the workload. It is hard AF. Yes, that's kind of what I touched on earlier. It is not an easy job. And to think too, some of these Webtoon originals, they aren't even a team of multiple people. Some of these Webtoon originals start off as one person, which is wild to me. Let's see. And then this one says, the community coming together to share the experience as a group has been so wholesome. Absolutely. It has been really great. Everybody just supporting, everybody reaching out has been really, really rewarding and fantastic. And I'm just so grateful that I have the community to really help me and support me, and then cheer me on, as well as me cheering them on too. So, all right, so those have been just my thoughts about it, you guys' thoughts about the contest. I wish everyone luck, of course, and I hope that from this experience that you were able to get something and take something away from it, because I can't tell you what to take away from this experience, only you guys can. So now Space Ultima, she is right there in the pot with everybody else, and considering I did, uniquely recreate the first 3 episodes for this, it's had me definitely thinking about where I want Space Ultima to go from here. And to be quite honest, minus the contest, obviously, I'm already thinking about what direction I want to take it into. Now, of course, I cannot tell you guys anything at the moment because I myself don't even know, but I will say this, I find it interesting because when I first started this, I said, I don't want to reboot my series because I don't think I have anything else that I need to change. And then I did reboot the first 3 episodes. And as you all know with the contest, if you do make it past the first round of entries, that puts you into the second round, where you do have to complete 2 more episodes. For most of the genres, 2 more episodes to submit to get into that final stage. Now, personally, I see it as 2 things. 1, I start writing episode 4 and 5 to have it in my toolbox for if I do get pushed to the next round. Then also, I have considered where I want the story to go, but then also how I want to refine my story. How I want my story to be that maybe with a year or more of experience, I can actually look at it with a different set of eyes and be able to maybe tell the story better than what I told it before. Now, I also know that I have a commitment to you guys because I have a season 2, or I guess part 2. I do still have that is promised to all of the readers. So I've got a lot of work to do. I kind of put a little bit of, sprinkle some crumbs in there of what I've been thinking, but of course nothing is set in stone yet. All I know is I'm burnt out. I'm ready for my break. So I will be going on kind of a soft hiatus because I am also going out of the country by the end of the month. And of course, I'm gonna take you guys with me, metaphorically speaking. You guys will see a video of that journey and adventure. So I hope you tune in for that. I hope you check out Space Ultima on WEBTOON. And I also hope that you feel proud of the work that you did. And even if you didn't enter the contest, I hope you feel proud anyway. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel so you can see more of my fun little activities and hijinks. But I'm going to catch you guys later, and yeah, we'll see where things go. Bye!